Hey there, history fans. Tonight we're diving into one of America's biggest and most debated purchases, Alaska. Yeah, that giant chunk of ice up north. In 1867, the United States bought Alaska from Russia for a cool $7.2 million. That's about 2 cents an acre. Sounds like a steal, right? Well, not everyone thought so. In fact, many Americans back then thought it was a huge waste of money. They called it Seward's Folly and Seward's Icebox, after Secretary of State William Seward, the guy who pushed for the deal. They couldn't imagine what good could possibly come from a frozen wasteland. But as we all know now, Alaska turned out to be anything but worthless. It's a land rich in natural resources, from gold and oil to fish and timber, and its strategic location has been crucial for American defense. So, was the Alaska purchase a stroke of genius or a lucky gamble? Let's find out, shall we? To understand why Russia sold Alaska, we need to rewind the clock to the mid-1800s. Russia was in a bit of a pickle. Tsar Alexander II, the big cheese in charge, was facing some serious financial woes. Turns out fighting wars is expensive. And Russia had just lost the Crimean War, which left their coffers looking pretty bare. On top of that, Alaska, their only North American colony, was proving to be a bit of a money pit. It was expensive to maintain and protect, and the fur trade, their main source of income there, was dwindling. The Tsar was starting to think that maybe, just maybe, holding on to this remote, icy territory wasn't worth the hassle. Meanwhile, over in North America, British Canada was eyeing Alaska with interest. The last thing the Tsar wanted was to see his rival gain a foothold right next door. So he figured, why not sell it to the Americans? They're loaded and they hate the British as much as we do. It was a win-win, or so he thought. Now let's talk about William Seward, the man with a vision for an expanded America. Seward was a firm believer in manifest destiny, this idea that the US was destined to rule the continent from sea to shining sea. And Alaska, well, that was just another stepping stone on the path to greatness. Seward saw Alaska's strategic importance. He knew that controlling the Arctic would give America a leg up in the Pacific. Plus, he'd heard whispers of vast mineral wealth hidden beneath the ice. Gold, oil, fish. It was like a giant treasure chest just waiting to be unlocked. Of course, not everyone shared Seward's enthusiasm. When news of the deal broke, Americans were outraged. "Seward's folly!" they cried. "Why on earth would we buy a frozen wasteland from a failing empire?" Newspapers ran scathing cartoons, and politicians denounced the purchase as a colossal waste of taxpayer money. Little did they know. Section 4. Striking a deal, 2 cents an acre. The negotiations for Alaska were a whirlwind affair. Tsar Alexander II, eager to unload his icy burden, sent his trusted diplomat, Edward de Stokel, to Washington to hammer out a deal. Seward, sensing an opportunity, jumped at the chance. The two men met in secret, late at night, in Seward's office at the State Department. They haggled over the price, with Seward initially offering a measly $5 million. Stokel countered with $10 million. Finally, they settled on $7.2 million, a steal for a landmass twice the size of Texas. On March 30th, 1867, the deal was done. The Treaty of Cession was signed, transferring ownership of Alaska from Russia to the United States. Seward was ecstatic. He'd just pulled off the biggest real estate deal in American history. Now all he had to do was convince the American people that it wasn't a huge mistake. Section 5. Public outrage. What have we done? News of the Alaska purchase was met with a collective, from the American public. People just didn't get it. Why would America need a giant icebox way up north? The press had a field day, mocking Seward and the purchase relentlessly. Seward's folly became the catchphrase of the day. Newspapers ran cartoons depicting Alaska as a desolate wasteland populated by polar bears and icebergs. Politicians denounced the purchase as a colossal waste of taxpayer money. Even some of Seward's own allies questioned his sanity. The public outcry was so fierce that Congress almost refused to ratify the treaty. It took months of lobbying and persuasion from Seward and his supporters to finally convince Congress to approve the deal. And even then, many Americans remained skeptical. They wouldn't truly appreciate the value of Alaska for decades to come. Section 6. Alaska's bounty from gold to oil. It didn't take long for Alaska to prove its worth. In 1880, gold was discovered in Juneau, sparking a gold rush that brought thousands of prospectors flocking north. Suddenly, Seward's Folly was looking like a stroke of genius. But gold was just the tip of the iceberg. Alaska was brimming with natural resources: fish, timber, copper, oil, you name it. The discovery of oil in Prudhoe Bay in 1968 turned out to be a game changer. It transformed Alaska into a major oil producer, filling state coffers and boosting the American economy. Beyond its natural resources, Alaska's strategic location proved invaluable during World War II and the Cold War. Its proximity to Russia made it a key outpost for American military operations. Today, Alaska remains a vital part of America's defense network, home to numerous military bases and radar stations. Section 7, a legacy of land and lessons. So was the Alaska purchase a bargain or a blunder? Looking back, it's safe to say that it was one of the shrewdest deals in American history. For a paltry sum, the US acquired a landmass rich in resources, strategically important, and teeming with natural beauty. The Alaska purchase teaches us that sometimes the best deals are the ones that are initially misunderstood. It reminds us that vision coupled with a bit of risk-taking can pay off in spades, and it highlights the importance of looking beyond the present and considering the long-term